morning, everyone. I'd just like to take a moment to thank everyone for coming to on this beautiful Saturday morning and coming to our third talk of our professional development series. I would just like to welcome everyone. I am Shannon Braden, and I'm director of the Center for Early Childhood Education and Research. And it's a real pleasure to be here. And I'd just like to welcome everyone on behalf of the Edith Landau Virtual um, Training Center, as well as Early Childhood Education and CSER, for making time this morning and coming to our professional development series. We have a really exciting and wonderful talk coming up. And I would just like to acknowledge that I am calling in and I am on currently the unceded ancestral territory of the Musqueam people. Having said that, I'm going to get started right off this morning, and I'm going to pass it on to my colleague here, Dr. Iris Berger, who is going to do a land acknowledgement as well as introduce our wonderful speakers for this morning. So if I might pass it off to Dr. Berger, I can pass the Zoom screen off to you, Iris.
Thank you so much, Shannon, and good morning, everyone, if it is indeed morning for you, and welcome to our session. Well, first off, to start us in a good way, and just before I introduce our two speakers, I don't think you're only speakers, you're kind of our hosts for today's session. I would like to start in a good way and acknowledge the land from where I'm situated today. And I live in Vancouver, or what is known today as Vancouver, on the unceded traditional ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish people. And I just came back from a conference in Toronto, and I did notice, because I was chairing a number of the meeting, we had a land acknowledgement. It's part of the protocol that was at York University. And I did notice in the land acknowledgement what a difference it makes when you're actually doing a land acknowledgement on the land that you know and that you're connected to, and that you and that you have had the time to form these relationships with. And it is with a great deal of love and respect to the land, but a much deeper understanding of what it means to say thanks to the people who have cared for this land for thousands and thousands of years. So I do want to thank the Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam people for taking care of this land that we live on today, and to state my commitment to work towards truth and reconciliation. And with that, I would like to introduce our two hosts for today. I want to begin with Summer, just because we started talking about this session quite earlier, almost a year ago, during the summer. And this was my first time of meeting Summer, and I so appreciate and thankful, Summer, that you took this on. So Summer is originally from Taiwan. She's fluent in English, Mandarin, and Taiwanese. Since 2010, she has been learning and sharing knowledge in the field of early childhood education on Vancouver Island. Summer has worked as a frontline early childhood educator, a facility manager, a practical mentor, as well as a child care center owner and operator. Summer was a graduate student, and her research interests focus on the betterment of early years public policy, the recruitment and retention of early childhood educators. And if you know anything about the field of early childhood education in BC and in Canada, you know this is a huge issue. Summer believes in the power of personal connections in addition to the potential of all learners. She's also an executive of the ECE BC Nanaimo branch and a peer mentoring project facilitator for the Nanaimo area. And that's the peer mentorship project is clearly the focus of today's session. And then, breaking news, Summer just became the chair for the Early Childhood Education and Care Program at VIU, which I believe, is it a BA program now, Summer?
No, it's still a diploma program.
But congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Ellen and I go back a long, long time. I've known Ellen for many years because Ellen Strelov, were you the first in the first online MEd cohort?
So we were, yeah.
12 years ago?
Yeah, we began in 2012, September of 2012.
So definitely Ellen is a part of the history of our online MEd program and was our student in the very first cohort. She's currently a program coordinator for the Human Service Program at Selkirk College and also the Practicum Placement Coordinator for each of quite a diverse variety of program. And you only shared the acronym with me, Ellen, and I'm not sure what each one of them stands for. Of course, the Early Childhood Education and Care. What is SSW?
Social Service Worker Program.
Thank you. And then I'm gonna let you say it.
The Education Assistant Community Support Worker and the Child and Youth Care Program.
Thank you. So quite a variety of programs. Ellen had the privilege of being a leader for the peer mentorship pilot in 2019-2020 and has returned for a 3-year term in 2021. She lives in Castlegar, BC, and loves all the opportunities and experiences that living in the Kootenays bring. So with that, I would like to welcome you, Ellen and Summer, to teach us really, what can we learn about well-being from the BC ECE Peer Mentorship Program? Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm just going to share my screen with the PowerPoint. Hopefully everybody can see that.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So here's our agenda for this morning. So thank you, Iris, for leading us through a beautiful land acknowledgement. Is there any other housekeeping that we need to take care of before we continue?
I guess the only thing is that to let the people who are here know that the session is being currently recorded. So if you want, or if you do not want your camera to be on, that's fine. We'll also have opportunities to be in breakout room and those will not be recorded.
Great, thank you. So we're going to start with by showing a brief video about what the peer mentor program is. So I'm just going to exit from this screen actually and go directly to that. And I think I have to stop sharing and reshare. So, oops, so you can hear the sound.
We could hear the sound.
Oh, okay.
The peer mentoring program for early childhood educators in BC began in Kamloops back in about 2015 as a pilot project. This was a time when I worked with early childhood educators in my local community to actually find out what they wanted in a peer mentoring program. It's been really exciting to see that program grow and to learn from early childhood educators in terms of what kinds of supports they think is important. And this program is now province-wide. This year we had locations across the province, actually in 15 different locations. And what that looks like is an individual community of practice, a group of educators that come together because they want to support each other. They want to grow together. They want to experience what it's like to be an early childhood educator together in community. And What's really interesting about that is it's in total contrast to what some educators experience, which is often described as isolation or feeling alone, like they don't have someone that they can reach out to or talk to or get support from.
I feel really positive because being part of this group, it feels like I'm one person, but now I've connected with a whole bunch of other ECEs, but it makes me feel even more positive knowing that that's going to be increasing all over the province. And I just love that idea. I really do.
As an early childhood educator, the peer mentoring program has been wonderful for me because I retired last year, but yet my heart hasn't retired. So I definitely wanted to still be a part of a community of educators. So being a part of the peer mentoring program enabled me to have a partner that was in the field a lot less time than I was. And so we developed a wonderful relationship and shared the struggles, the achievements, the accomplishments of being the best we can be with the children in our care.
As a new educator, I wasn't paired with Donna, but I was fortunate to be able to gain experience and pull from their knowledge and learn from them. So it's been a valuable tool.
It's not just a one-time workshop, it's a community of practice. We come together and we build that relationship, and then we form our professional identity together. And I think in our group we even talk about just today about advocacy, and that's so important in our field right now.
So I've been working at Thompson Rivers University in the early childhood education program for the last 23 years. I first became an early childhood educator myself about 30 years ago. And a huge motivator for me was when I started to hear about the stories of educators who were leaving the field in the first 5 years of work. Many years ago, just as I was beginning my research, there was a statistic that came out of ECEBC, the Early Childhood Educators of British Columbia, that said that approximately 50% of beginning early childhood educators leave the field in the first 5 years of work.
I've been in the field for 10 years now. I've seen a lot of early childhood educators leaving our field. I personally find this is a very rewarding career, but I've seen so many people leaving. I'm starting to wonder. The first 4 years when I was working in a group center, I actually went through 10 early childhood educators. So to the point that I was the only person on the floor that parents know.
It's very isolating and lonely sometimes.
Parce que être éducatrice en l'enfance, c'est une vocation qui est encore mal connue ou mal vue des gens. Ils ne comprennent pas tout le travail que ça implique de travailler avec des enfants. On éduque la prochaine génération qui s'en vient. Donc, c'est super important d'être nous reconnus puis d'avoir une voix pour qu'ils puissent nous donner les outils pour qu'on puisse amener notre travail, faire un bon travail pour ces enfants-là qui poussent présentement.
If you have something that you couldn't share at work and you have a hard time communicating that with your family or friends, then maybe come to our program and spend some time with us, because we are all like-minded. We help each other out, we listen to each other's vent, we have a vision for our future, you know, and I think this is a great program for you.
As an early childhood educator, the peer mentorship group has actually, it's made me feel that I'm not alone.
I would describe the peer mentoring program as going home, being with a group of people who create safe spaces and allow you to be the best version of yourself.
It's been a valuable tool.
I think the peer mentoring program can help with burnout and can help with stress and support when there's not always much support.
Qu'est-ce que ça m'a apporté? Ça m'a sorti de mon isolement, premièrement. Ça m'a donné une équipe avec qui travailler pour échanger des idées, continuer à pousser plus loin.
I think it's important for people to know about the peer mentoring program because we are a profession and we take our profession very seriously, and we are educators and we want to be there for each milestone that the children reach. We want to be able to guide them, to be able to have trusting relationships with them and their families, and just being able to show our communities that we want to be a part of their child's future.
Relationships is the one that's standing out, and I realized that it's not what we learn together that's important, it's how we sit with each other, sometimes on Zoom, sometimes in person, and have that experience. And that's the most important thing. Somebody said that people will forget what you say, people will forget how you say it, but people will never forget how you make them feel. And I think that's really hit home with me after this year. And next year, I think we will be able to find some more time to sit together and maybe some programs with self-care. I think I will make it priority next year.
If you're looking for more information on the peer mentoring program for early childhood educators in BC, we have a couple of places that you can check out. We have a program website, and you can find that at www.ecepeermentoring.truebox.ca. You can also find us on Facebook. Again, look up Peer Mentoring Program for Early Childhood Educators in BC. And finally, if you want to reach us via email, you can contact us at peermentoring@tru.ca.
Okay. Is this you, Summer? Or?
Me? Okay. This is my and so yeah, I was just like, because I was like, it's always really weird to see yourself in the video. And yeah, and I pulled it that the quote was wrong too. It was like, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel. But anyways, I guess I got my point across. So we want to start with a little bit activity. So what does well-being mean to you? And we're gonna put it in the chat so that you have the link to the Jamboard. And if everybody can just put, what you think in there, and we can look at it together at the end.
Is everybody familiar with Jamboard, or do we need a little?
I would say do a little demo for us.
Demo, okay. So you'll see a sidebar. If you click on here, it'll produce a little sticky note, and here you can put your responses. So, so for me, well-being means getting like adequate sleep. So I will type that in, hit save, and it'll automatically pop it into the Jamboard. We can move these around. Oh, somebody's already there. Perfect. You can choose a different color if you like, green. What else? So, an enjoyable career is well-being for me. So save that and just go on and on. So we'll just give everybody a few minutes to put their thoughts on the Jamboard.
So the link is in the chat, and then everybody can go to this link and type a little note.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. Thank you. I will stop sharing this screen and go back to our PowerPoint. Okay, so the peer mentoring program began in 2016, as you heard Laura say in the video, and as a project in the Kamloops area. It grew out of research with beginning early childhood educators from across BC who said that they wanted to have a program of support, like something that would include peer mentoring, access to professional development, as well as opportunities for feedback and relationship with other educators. The peer mentoring program is a support program designed for both new and experienced early childhood educators. It involves peer mentoring within a community of practice. And in that community of practice, everyone learns from each other. It is founded on the belief that each person has insight, expertise, and something both to share and learn.
So the peer mentoring program research has been motivated by the startling statistics out of ECBC. You heard that in the video too, that we lose up to 50% of early childhood educators in the first 5 years of work. This work is all about creating a supportive community for early childhood educators. Each peer mentoring community of practice has 12 early childhood educators, so ideally 6 newer ECEs and 6 experienced ECEs, as well as 1 to 2 facilitators.
We keep updating this infographic with our current graphic designer, and we can't keep up. So currently there are 26 peer mentoring community of practice groups across BC, with close to 260 early childhood educators and 34 facilitators. So this program does not exist without the dedication from our facilitators. So that's Summer and I's role here today. Who join and step up to support early childhood educators in our communities. And it wouldn't be possible without educators who believe in this program's impact.
So this map shows our current locations across BC. The peer mentoring program is currently working on expansion, and our goal is to have a total of 35 community of practice. And we want to reach and support more rural/remote area and Indigenous communities.
So this slide, it shows some of the findings on community of practice itself. We continue to hear about the importance of confidentiality. We include lots of time to build relationships, to get to know each other. There are multiple ways to participate, and we believe that educators can decide what they need. We use a peer mentoring model as opposed to the traditional mentor-mentee approach that positions one person as the expert and one as the novice, recognizing that new educators have value and something to contribute.
In addition to being a program of support for early childhood educators, peer mentoring program is also doing research on best practices to support early childhood educators, traditionally an under research group. So putting early childhood educators in the middle and being research. We invite early childhood educators and facilitators to be part of the research, and there are many opportunities, including weekly reflections, focus groups, and surveys.
So we collect photos and reflections from educators, and we were able to create a professional exhibit which highlights both the experiences of early childhood educators as well as the experiences in the program. And this was shared recently at the ECEBC conference last month. So I'll just give you a moment to look
Thank
at
you. And can you say a little bit more about the meaning of the images that we see?
So these images are collected from the communities of practice. So how it works is we have monthly meetings with our whole cohort of 12, and the commitment is for the pairs. So the newer ECE with the more experienced ECE meet every week. And everybody produces a report or like submits, I guess it's a report on what they discussed. And this is some of the images that were, what am I trying to say? Some of the images that were sent to True, along with some of the quotes that they picked up and put this infographic together.
So I guess what I'm trying to understand is the image is reflective of what is being discussed in the text.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. Maybe you wanna, I don't know, maybe it's my very old eyes, but maybe you could read some of the titles of those different stories that are shared.
Okay, sure.
Yes.
So I felt a great sense of connection to the profession and to my peers. I needed that as a newbie. A huge topic that popped up was self-care and burnout. I was surprised after only being in the field for a year. This was already a topic my partner wanted to chat about, which made me question why. Summer, did you want to read a couple?
Sure. I'm trying to find how to make it bigger on my screen. Oh. Dear early childhood educator, I see you. Your heart is the author of your teaching practice. I hear you. I feel you. Yeah, you are enough. That's the one.
Mm-hmm. And then value, we talked about how it can be frustrating. We felt there needs to be a shift in society perception and how it views early care and learning.
What about the walking in the forest one captured my attention?
I can't read that one. It's too small even for me. If we could make it bigger, yeah.
I think you could on your screen, Ellen, couldn't you somehow?
Well, see it when I, oops, like makes.
Zoom in.
Maybe some younger people on here would know. Maybe I can open it. Actually, maybe if I exit full screen, maybe if I did that. And I could, oops.
I tried to zoom in
it's
on my other screen, but it wouldn't. I can't make anything. It's just.
Sorry. What I can do is after the presentation, I could send it to you, Iris, and if you have contacts for everybody, you can just send it. Okay.
Excellent. Let's do that.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back.
Okay, so this is from one of the participants that she said, our time together filled my cup, each sip of tea warming my insides. When my tea mug was physically empty, I felt refreshed mentally.
This graphic summarizes the results from the project. The structure of the project brought people together, breaking down barriers, and united educators together with a common purpose and vision. Educators highlighted that having someone who listens to them, who understands them, who supports their practice as a fellow ECE professional through this web of connection was self-care itself, which was important for their well-being. Educators came together as peer mentors within a community of practice and discussed their experiences in the field, including workplace issues, challenges in the ECE field, including low wages, high turnover, short staffing, burnout, and self-care, and their experiences in the project. So learning from each other, culture and language, learning about different programs and sharing different perspectives, supporting each other through pedagogical resources and ideas, the methods and practice of being an educator, and learning and reflecting together and developing professional friendships as peer mentors, as self-care.
So there are more quotes like from the participants. They say, I left the meeting feeling a deep sense of connection to the group and to my new profession. I feel very fortunate to have many contacts within the ECE community to call on for assistance, inspiration, and feedback. And then another participant say, I find that I look forward to these meetings and feel in a way refreshed after having them. There's something almost therapeutic about being able to talk to someone who understands you and your job. And then mentorship is personal care and connection is time taken out to better.
Another quote was, the pandemic continues to highlight the selfless nature of early childhood educators and emphasize the absolute need to take care of oneself.
So you can see in the graphic, resilience is in the middle, and you see community, honor, resources, support, and from one of the facilitators, she said, this proves what I know to be true. Early childhood educators need ongoing and meaningful connection and support. It keeps us mentally well, eases the heavy weight of being new to the field and the power of the challenges we face. It also lifts us, keeps us our why alive, and allows for joy in these especially difficult times. So now it's your turn. So we want to know that, so we will put, I think we just need 3 breakout rooms because we have a smaller group today. Okay. And so perhaps breakout room 1, you will study the picture on the left, and breakout room 2, you will look at the picture in the middle, and breakout room 3, you will look at the picture on the right. We want to ask you that when you look at these pictures, how do you relate to well-being?
I just realized something, and maybe Jacqueline, and I forgot to mention Jacqueline Chen, who's here today as a support for us. So maybe Jacqueline, you will know how to resolve this. But once the groups are in their breakout rooms, can they still see the photos?
That's a good question. Like, do you mean so what you're sharing on the screen now?
Yeah. And if not, then I wonder if it's possible to take a minute and put the images on, for example, like Google Slides or even on the Google Jamboard.
Yeah, I think the latter is a good idea because when you go into a breakout room, I think like unless you are, I don't know, sharing and in the same breakout room, like you can reshare it in the breakout room, but you need to kind of be in the specific one, so they would lose sight of it.
Yeah. So maybe we could take a second to do that. And I don't know if perhaps there are any questions from the audience about the peer mentorship program from what you've heard so far. Sorry, I just realized that now about the breakout rooms won't be able to see the photos and they need them, right? For the discussion.
Yeah.
No, we've been using Zoom for like 3 years, but there's still things that we forget.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if you have a question, you could put it on the chat or you could just unmute. I guess I have a very simple question, I hope. A peer mentorship facilitator will work with how many educators in a community?
So there are a group of 12 educators. So each of the facilitators will recruit 12 educators from the community, ideally 6 new and 6 experienced educators. But sometimes it doesn't always work that way. And in my experience, whoever comes first, then I'll just take them because, I really appreciate their, motivation of signing up. So, and then we will pair them. So there will be 6 pairs in each community of practice. And that's when I pair them. Well, there are many, like each facilitator has their own method of pairing educators. Some just draw names from the hat, but in my area, I would see like if the early childhood educator is new or not. And if they're pretty new, I will pair them with a more experienced early childhood educator. And I think that really helps with the connection and relationship. And I Ellen just mentioned that, but I keep coming back and think that we are actually professional friends. Like I call them my professional friends, and because it's just so hard sometimes when you work all day and all week, and then you get home, something's still on your mind, but you can't really say anything to your family because they're not interested, in your professional life. And you just want somebody to understand how you feel. And this is when the peer mentors come together. They sometimes go out for coffee on a Saturday morning like today, or they go for a walk. Some of them just call each other depending on their availability.
And when they meet each other as a facilitator, do you provide an agenda or questions, or is it they come up with their own?
Yeah, so each week when they meet each other, they just talk about whatever they want. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, there are 2 layers to this project. The first one is definitely to support early childhood educators, to reduce burnout rate, to increase, recruitment and retention of the workforce. But the second layer is the research. So we want to put early childhood educators in the middle or in the center and study them and to understand why this field is like a revolving door. We do have people coming in, each year, but why is it that we still don't have enough educators working in the field? And why is there such a crisis right now? So, so they don't have to follow certain script or anything. The peer mentors just come together and they talk to each other. And then after that, they will complete so-called reports, but just to say what they're talking about. So whether they're talking about curriculum in their centers or whether they're talking about challenges that they're having that week. It could be personal, it could be professional, it could be, so they report those data to the, provincial program. And then that becomes the data that Laura is using. And for each month, when all 12 educators come together, we have a community of practice. And this is when we sometimes facilitate some kind of professional development. So depending on what educators are interested in. So the facilitator will reach out to different agencies for to facilitate this experience. And when 12 educators come together, we talk about like, oh, what's happening in your discussion or in your conversation, and and sometimes facilitators would, depending on the educator's interest, then we will do some readings together, some community of practice. They read like early learning framework together, and some of them, like Ellen can share her community of practice went on this event, or maybe later, because you have photos of it, right? Okay. And so
are you at the point where you're allowed to share some of the major funding on? And of course, I heard the word burnout mentioned many, many times, but maybe something positive from the finding. Like, what is it that actually makes people stay in the field?
Yes, definitely. I think the connection is a big one, even though that people work in big centers with multiple co-workers or colleagues, they still feel isolated. So through this coming together, I think people really feel connected. And one thing I noticed from last year, we were all on Zoom, and this year I kind of insisted we should meet in person, and people really came out. The attendance is much better than Zoom. Usually I just get half of the group to come once a month, but this year it's been like 9-10 educators, or all of them, coming in person. So I think people really, really want that in-person connection.
And here we are on Zoom having some Zoom challenges. How is it going, Ellen?
I think, I'm just going to send the PowerPoint link to Edith, but I think because they're Summer's photos, she might need to upload them because I don't have them saved in a file. But I'll send the PowerPoint to Edith, and we'll try there first. So keep talking.
Okay, and then I actually thought that the other option is to just have the photos, leave them on the screen for a couple of minutes, and then put people in breakout rooms. They will remember which photo is theirs. I mean, it's nicer to have it, but in the worst case scenario, we can probably do it if it's too many steps to get there. And I'm wondering if somebody else has a question. Nargis already put in the chat that she was part of the program. So I don't know, Nargis, if you want to say something, but if you have questions for Summer or Ellen about the mentorship program, then they're very welcome.
Hello, hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me for this program. And all things should be they say, and I really appreciate that one. I encourage all educators to connect with that program, and we have so many facilitators for asking any question. I want to just say thank you.
Nargis, were you a new teacher when you joined the program?
To be honest, when I'm starting in that field, I'm new because I was never doing anything in Canada. But I have a 25 years experience in my home country with big students in middle school.
Right.
But this is a different way, and really helped me for each step. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think we're close. Edith has everything she needs now.
So I want to ask Nargis, what part do you think, because you have experience with children or students with education before in your home country, but coming to, like, what part of peer mentoring program do you think help you the most?
Definitely, because all thing is different, and all thing is, to be honest, all thing is new for me, and it's really helpful in encourage me and encourage me for every step doing when I'm feeling so many educator with me. I really calm down, and every single moment I can ask so many different people with so many different time and approach. I really appreciate. It's a good program for me.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
so being resourceful, I guess,
Yeah.
like, so
Yeah.
yeah, you have like so many resources that people would, and we do share that common issues very often, like, for example, late pickup, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just all those things, or potty training, or there are like practical issues that we all have been there or share the same kind of concern.
We can talk for anything, especially at the work when we have a challenge or hard time. It's really helpful for control ourselves and make a best decision. I think it's very useful and helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Are we ready, Ellen? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, of course. Please.
I'm just curious about, how do you become the facilitator?
That's a very good question. And because we're always expanding programs, so thank you so much. So you can reach out to, there's an email, or you can just Google BC ECE PM mentoring program and reach out to our manager and see where you are, whether you might have a community of practice in the area already, or if there's no, group, then you can just ask, and can I be a facilitator for this? And then, yeah, because we're trying to reach out to more like rural or remote area. And I know they're constantly recruiting facilitators. And this is a great time because, so actually next Monday, I will have my last community of practice for the year. And then we take July and August off. And then September will start again.